I saw Next to Normal in New York several times when it was in its incubation and when it finally appeared on Broadway. Next to Normal was a show that was worked on very hard by its young creators. It was derived from an instinct to do something, I don't want to say provocative, but something including the provocative aspects of how a family deals with mental illness, and to do it in a virtually sung-through mode. That is almost like a modern opera, like a sung-through musical. With this particular production of Next to Normal, what's interesting is that the emotional life of the piece, I think, has become really, really rich and clear. There are a lot of levels to this piece. Obviously, when people burst into song about anything, it's not entirely realistic. You know, you have to go up there where music takes you. There's a way that the music theater is being used that's very active, very kinetic, very forceful.
I think it represents what was going on the radio. I think it's pop and rock music. Whereas, in all due respect, shows like Les Mis that are sung through were not always as accessible, I think, at first. We were dealing with British accents, we were dealing with a lot of legit singing, and people had to adjust to almost like an opera, where this is kind of the people's music. And I think it caught a whole new generation of theater goers that could relate to this kind of music. All they had to do was turn on the radio or go see the show, and they're able to connect to something familiar. Little did they know what the subject matter was going to be, but once they got them in the theater, I think the fact that this piece speaks of what it speaks of had an incredible impact. Nobody sang about it before. You know, it was only in books, not on the stage.
I think one of the most exciting aspects of what's going on in the American theater now is how we're blowing the limitations of what can be thought of as a musical theater piece just sky high. And Next to Normal was part of that.
It's always a new beast every time I do a show with a director I have not worked with before. In some ways, it's like going on a date for the first time again. I have to feel out the way he or she likes to work. Do they want more input every 5 minutes from me? Do they like to figure things out? And then, as I'm observing their approach to the material, then I continue it on the music side, following their philosophy. Are they more open to hear what I have to say, and then together it's a mutual back and forth, which of course is the best, you know, choice. And that's what's so wonderful about David. When I first would have the cast, I would say a few things, and I always looked to see if he was okay with that, and he always had a smile, and then he would say yes, and to reiterate what Darren said, and then I would say, yeah, and to reiterate what David said this morning, you have to, you know, ... And I realized that we both understood each other, so I felt a freedom to do what I needed to do.